What's up guys, welcome to the channel, and in this video I'll be reviewing my CV/resume that got me my first ever cloud job. Several people have asked me for my entry-level CV, so I'm making this video by popular demand. Now, I'm not saying that this CV is 100% perfect, and there are many different ways to write out a resume. But I was definitely really confident with this resume, and it did help me to get a lot of job interviews. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so here it is. This is the CV which I used to apply for my first ever cloud job. I used the CV to get quite a few interviews, so it was pretty good according to the recruiters or whoever was reading my CV, because I did get quite a few interviews. I was quite confident when applying with the CV that I would be able to at least hear back from whoever I'm applying to. And I was confident in the CV that it had been written well, and that it was a strong CV. I did get some help when writing it from people at my university. They showed me some pointers, showed me some things to put in there, how to structure it, and that sort of thing. And I got help like quite a while back, like when I was applying for like placement years and that sort of thing, and the assistance I got then kind of followed through to other times that I'd used the CV. So I didn't get help on this specific CV, but I got help with writing it like years ago, and I've updated the versions, added a lot of things in there, and I've sort of kept the same structure, if that makes sense. So let's take a look. At the time of writing this, I had about 3 months of working experience, and cool. So I'm going to go through some initial tips for CV that I would advise. Of course, my CV is not perfect, and everyone has different ways of writing their CV, but I do think my CV is quite strong, and these tips would sort of be helpful for anyone. So, first thing, not saying I am or using I in the CV. So like, if you look at my profile, I go straight into saying aspiring cloud engineer with strong technical skills. So there's no I am an aspiring cloud engineer, or saying I am well suited, or saying I am great with understanding. It's just going straight into it and saying aspiring cloud engineer with strong technical skills, well suited for IT roles, proficient in this. No I am or I do this. Don't use the letter I in your CV, right? Well, you can use I in your CV, but just make sure that you don't use it in the profile especially. In other areas, it makes sense to say I do this, I do that, but in the profile, from my point of view, keep it almost as if you're speaking in the third person, like aspiring cloud engineer. Like, you're not speaking about yourself, but speaking about the person who owns the CV. So let it be straight in aspiring cloud engineer, rather than saying I am this, that. You get the idea. Another tip is to just be genuine. Don't make up experience. Don't straight out lie. Don't make things up. Especially if you're applying for entry-level jobs. Whatever job you're applying for shouldn't be one where they expect you to have this sort of experience and knowledge. And so whatever experience you already have, or whatever you've done practically already, that should be enough to come into to apply and come to an interview with. What you don't want to do is create all this experience on your CV, tell them you're skilled in this, that, and the other, and then when you get to the interview, they ask you loads of questions about that and expect you to be really proficient in that technology, and they really challenge and test your knowledge on that, and you kind of just made that up, so in the interview you're kind of stuttering and trying to make stuff up, they can see right through that. So you got to make sure that what you're speaking about or what you're putting on your CV, you're able to speak about, and you actually have a good understanding of. Another tip I would say is don't be too fancy with your CV, especially in tech. There's industries where you really go and design your CV, make it look all pretty, put your face on the CV, that sort of thing, have all these colors and that sort of thing. But for a technical engineer CV, just make it boring, really, just like this, or maybe in a different format, but something like this, that is just words and no design, no pictures of your face or anything else, just writing that the recruiter or hiring manager can just go through and read and understand your skills. And another tip which I want to mention is ordering the sections of your CV in terms of the importance for the role you're applying for. So for this CV, I was mostly going for like graduate roles or entry-level cloud roles. So I was going in with education being the first thing, and then key skills, and then certifications, and then work experience, which I didn't have. I had about 3 months of work experience and it wasn't cloud related, so I left this kind of late in the CV. So it depends on you really, whatever you think is more important. Let's say maybe you have a lot of work experience and you want to highlight that first, you can put this section where education is for me, and that could be the second thing after your profile. Or let's say you have some really good key skills could be the second thing for you. Or if you really want to highlight your certifications, you can move that up a level. But order these sections in the order of importance to what you want the hiring manager to see first. So let's take a look at my profile. My profile, personally, I think is really good. And of course, feel free to take any parts of this CV if you want to use yourself. And you can, if you want to, completely copy this and just make it, make it for you. Use your skills or your name. You can copy this template and use it yourself. Before the profile, of course, my name, number. I put my city, or put London, United Kingdom. Some people put their full address, but there is no need whatsoever to put your full address and be giving your full address out to people who probably won't even hire you. Most of the people you send your CV to, they're not going to hire you. So just put your city or the town you live in, phone number and email, and yeah, that's more than enough. Cool. Let's go through the profile. I'll read it out. Aspiring cloud engineer with strong technical skills and much experience with customer services. Well suited for IT roles that combine my technical and communication skills. Proficient in data modeling and the use of SQL, having successfully obtained MTA certifications for database fundamentals. With a great understanding of cloud computing, certified by Microsoft in Azure fundamentals, currently preparing for IT certifications such as CompTIA A+, seeking graduate job roles. Like I've said before, there is more than one way to write a CV, but I'm quite proud of the way that this profile is written on my CV. Some people would just like a very short 2 lines, but I think this fully goes through my skills at the time anyway. Obviously my skills have changed. I've been working for 2 years in cloud now, but at this time where I didn't have any cloud experience and I'd just gone through university. This really portrayed someone who has strong technical skills but wanted to, and had some certifications but didn't have the practical experience as much. So some of the things I want to mention in the profile is, of course, the first line, aspiring cloud engineer. This line should, just tell who you are. Who are you? Are you a student? Are you a cloud engineer? I think whatever you're applying for, you're trying to be. Saying aspiring cloud engineer is the best way to go, in my opinion. For me, who wanted to become a cloud engineer and was going for those roles, I went for aspiring cloud engineer with strong technical skills and much experience with customer services. I didn't have experience in any other areas, so I put in customer service to represent sort of the communication skills I have that definitely translate to working in tech as well. So following on, well suited for IT roles that combine my technical and communication skills. This line applies for pretty much any tech role that you're applying to, whether it's IT support, whether it's software engineering, whatever it is. This line would be really helpful to put in almost any technical CV, because it talks about combining technical and communication skills. And if you look at almost any job spec out there, it's going to say something to do with communication, and obviously it's going to be tech related, unless it's almost inevitable. There might be a few roles that aren't, but the vast majority will be important to have both technical skills and communication skills. So that is just a great line to have in your CV for anyone, really. Moving on, proficient in data modeling and the use of SQL, having successfully obtained MTA certifications for database fundamentals. I felt like this line was really good and is a really good line that anyone could use. You say proficient in a certain technology, and then you back it up with the certification. So I say proficient in data modeling and the use of SQL, having successfully obtained MTA certifications for database fundamentals. So that is me saying what I can do, what knowledge I have, and backing it up with a certification that I've taken. The next line says, with a great understanding of cloud computing, certified by Microsoft in Azure fundamentals. I did basically the same thing here, saying I have a great understanding of cloud computing, and I'm certified by Microsoft with Azure fundamentals. And the last line I just used to say I'm currently preparing for IT certifications such as CompTIA A+, and seeking graduate job roles. Now, just mentioning certifications that you're preparing for is almost like having the certification itself, especially in the profile. So if you have certain certifications, like let's say you have the Azure fundamentals, definitely mention your understanding of cloud in your profile, and mention also that you're certified in Azure fundamentals. And if you're preparing for some certifications, try and mention that as well. Name dropping these certifications in the profile could really brighten up the recruiter's eyes or the hiring manager's eyes, because that is what they're looking for a lot of the time, especially in the entry level. They want you to sort of stand out in a different way from everyone else that's entry level that just has a CV or just a degree. When you mention that you can back this up with a certification and prove that you actually have that knowledge, it sort of stands out. So moving on, I mentioned at the end that I'm seeking graduate job roles, and you can obviously put in there whatever types of roles you're seeking, whether that's grad roles, entry level, or what have you. But for me, that was grad roles or junior roles, but there's not too much difference between them, so I was okay to leave it as seeking grad job roles. Now we move on to education and qualifications, and I'm aware that not everyone applying for entry-level roles will have that much education or a degree or anything like that. If you don't have a degree or you don't have any sort of education or background, and you don't feel like the education you have would be a benefit for your CV as much, then this section shouldn't be second. The profile should be further down. But if you do have that section and you do have something to put in there, maybe it's a boot camp or a degree or some sort of college or something like that, then do put that in there, and mention some of the key modules, just the dates in the key modules. If you have obtained a degree with a respectable grade, you can put that grade in there. My grade for my undergraduate degree was a 2-1, which is pretty good. So there's first class, second class upper, second class lower, third, and then fail. So second class upper was just below first, so it is a good grade. That's how we grade in the UK at universities. So I put that in there, and I put obtained. If you are on that course and you haven't got it yet, you can put expected. So I guess education is pretty simple and straightforward. Just putting in some key modules, and let's mention the degrees that you have. There's nothing too special about this stuff. For me, I did a master's degree, which I've mentioned in some of my videos before, but I didn't complete that degree, so I ended up dropping out of that master's. They still gave me like a diploma. They still gave me a certificate to say that I'd reached a certain level in the master's, but I don't have a master's degree, unfortunately. Nonetheless, it's not all that necessary for me. Maybe I'll go back and complete it in the future. Probably not. I don't see it as that valuable personally. Moving on, after my education section, I went on to key skills. Now, for key skills, in hindsight, actually not for me because of the masters, but if I didn't have the masters in my sort of degree, I would have put the key skills further up. But if the key skills is the biggest thing for you, then move key skills further up. If I'm completely honest, I put some things in here that I don't even believe. And one of those things was advanced technical knowledge programming with Java, SQL, and HTML, so CSS. I did not have advanced technical knowledge. This is kind of bad because I said be really, really honest, but I did this a long time ago, and truth is, I did not have advanced technical knowledge of Java and SQL, but I did have practical knowledge in university. We did quite a few projects with Java, SQL, and HTML and CSS, so I did have a working knowledge of all of those tools. I just wouldn't say advanced. That is not completely true. I mentioned my Microsoft certifications in this section. I mentioned my passion for cloud. I mentioned my experience with platforms like SharePoint, Visio, OneDrive, Teams. In the key skills section, I bunched all my IT skills together, so I'd have room to mention some of the other key skills, because you could put Java as one skill, then SQL as another skill, and HTML, and it just wouldn't really make sense that way for me personally. I want to mention my IT skills together, then I want to mention the other skills that I have, which could be related to IT, or they might be related to something else. So moving on. Oh, and I just mentioned that, I put IT as the first thing because it is the most important thing of these, I believe. The second thing, methodology, which you might think is quite strange, but if you've done a degree or maybe you've worked in a field, you've heard of agile methodologies before. And because in university I did business computing at undergraduate level, they really talk a lot about agile methodology. Agile. And because of that, I did have a strong knowledge and understanding of it. And I did a lot of projects to do with it, talking about it, how it would fit into a project, that sort of thing. And yeah, it is something that was good to mention as a key skill, because there are quite a lot of roles out there that would want you to understand agile methodology. So that was something I put in. Depending on where I applied to, it could have been really important. Other places that don't bother much with agile methodology, probably not as important, but it is a key skill, something that is very practical in today's working world. The third thing in my key skills, troubleshooting, of course, and this is a pretty good one because I mentioned that I acquired my knowledge of troubleshooting while preparing for IT certifications like the CompTIA A+, and I don't even have the CompTIA A+, because I only did the first part, which is the, as you can see here, the 2201001 hardware, which is the core one basically. I only did the core one, and you have to do both of them to get the certification. But yeah, I did just the core one, and I did acquire a lot of knowledge about troubleshooting through the certification, and I definitely had to mention that in the CV. So that was my second. Third, communication, reporting to managers, sending updates, Jira. I threw Jira in there because I'd used it very, very briefly in one of my roles. And it is quite a popular thing to use. A lot of companies use it. So things like that, it'd be good to just throw in there. Having experience working in customer service roles in busy environments where I've been responsible for speaking directly with customers and meeting their needs. Very simply, translating my retail experience and customer service experience to my technical stuff. Okay, moving on. Teamwork. Much experience working in teams. Worked in teams when playing basketball for the University of Greenwich, with group work in many of the jobs mentioned. Able to get along with most people and contribute a lot to the goal of the team. So this is something that I'm sure you can find something to mention yourself. I play basketball at university, so I thought, yeah, that would be great to drop in there and say, I played basketball, I played for a team, I played in a working environment, and that does translate to working in a team in tech as well. So that was a good one. Moving on, certifications. Now, I think for a lot of people, this section should be moved further up to either the first or the second section, especially if certifications are the main thing and the most importance to some people. If you don't have a degree, or if you don't have a degree or a boot camp or anything like that, and certifications are your main source of sort of education and understanding of tech, then that is something that should be moved further upwards, I believe, my personal opinion. But yeah, I had a section for certifications in my CV where I mentioned each one and gave a little bit of detail on each of them. Geo Fundamentals, of course, when it was issued. This one was at the top because I was going for cloud roles, and this was the first cloud certification I had, and the only one at this time that I had. Wrote a little bit about that. Then I had got the MTA Database Fundamentals certification, which is now this certification is now retired, but I still have it, of course, because yeah, I did it a while ago. And I threw that in there as well. I also mentioned this in the profile. Although there's some of these certifications down here in this section, I mentioned the ones that I really want the recruiter to see in the profile as well. So that's really important for myself. Moving on, the CompTIA A+. Now this one was really interesting because I hadn't completed the CompTIA A+, but I still managed to put it in my CV. And the way I did that was I put the Core 1, which is the hardware that I'd passed, and I wrote passed, and then I put the Core 2 and I wrote preparing. So to get the CompTIA, you need both the Core 1, just the hardware sort of part, and the Core 2. I only had the Core 1, but I put that I'm preparing for the Core 2. To this day, I still don't have the Core 2. I still don't have the full CompTIA A+, but I put in that I was preparing for it because I was. I never ended up taking it, but this definitely sparked interest from recruiters. So if you are preparing for a certification, put that on your CV that you are preparing for it, even though you haven't got it yet. I think that's really important. Moving on to work experience. If you have space, for me, I had a 2-page CV. I've always had a 2-page CV. Some people say go for a 1-pager at entry level. Personally, I would go for 1.5 to 2 pages. That's just a personal thing. If you have a lot less to talk about, like certifications or experience, then definitely go for a 1-pager. I think for myself, I had a lot to articulate in my CV, so I really wanted to go for that 2-page so I could get things through. The truth is, a recruiter is not going to read your whole CV in detail. They're just going to take little things. They're going to read the profile. They're going to brush through some things, that you highlight. So it doesn't matter really how long it is. If it is 1, it would be easier for them to read through. I guess since mine was a 2, it wouldn't be as easy, but as long as I highlight the main things I want them to see in the profile and I move up the things that are really important for a hiring manager to notice, then that is enough to get their interest and attention. So moving on, work experience. This was my 3-month experience as an IT operations manager at this company. I tried to put in a little 2 lines of what the organization is and what they do, and then I tried to say what I worked on, what I did for them. Worked on several projects, documentation, configured AI solutions, and that sort of thing. And this was an internship experience. It was a 2 or 3 day project where during lockdown they sort of helped us out with a bit of experience, sort of getting some insight into companies and working in tech. It wasn't a job at all, but it was a sort of experience sort of thing. And so it was important to put this on my CV as well. And the truth is, the hiring manager doesn't know anything about this. They're just going to see intern and say, oh, we did an internship somewhere. And the truth is, this was a 3-day experience day or an insight thing that happened during lockdown online. And I just put that on my CV, and it's helpful. It looks like more experience, really. Moving on, I worked as a steward at a football stadium. Put in my experiences there, and then I worked. This is one of my customer service experiences. I guess these don't really matter. They're really long ago. They're not that important. Don't expect the hiring manager to read through them. So I also mention my extracurricular activities, and of course I played basketball for the University of Greenwich second team, a vocal team player, brings the team together, and that sort of thing. This is just showing a little bit of personality in the CV. And I was part of an Oracle mentoring scheme also. And yeah, this is similarly a very short program where Oracle, the company, of course, very large company, got a few students. They got a few of us students at the university signed up on this scheme where they put us together with someone who works at Oracle, and we were allowed to get advice from them, speak to them, and yeah, just hear from their experience. And they were supposed to, just help us with our technical journey in learning to getting tech and that sort of thing. And I didn't speak much with my mentor, to be honest, from Oracle. I had a few emails back and forth with him, and I sat down for coffee with him on the day the scheme opened, and that was it, really. So it wasn't really a massive experience for me, but I still put that on my CV because it is important for them to know that Oracle, that's a big name, it's a big company. So it's great for them to know that, yeah, I have some sort of connection to Oracle, and that is on my CV. So finally, at the end, I put, write this down. At the end of my CV, references available on request. There is no need to put your references on your CV. If anyone tells you need references on CV, there is no need. Just put available on request. You don't want to be giving people's numbers out to random people who are not going to give you a job. Wait for people to actually interview you, or even offer you a job, and then you can begin to give references out respectfully to whatever company requires that. So yeah, and that is it. I've gone through the CV. Thank you guys for listening. Remember that you can take any parts of this CV and use them for your CVs if it's helpful. I've made this video by popular request, and I hope that the stuff I've shared about my CV is able to help you guys. If you'd like a copy, message me on LinkedIn or on my Instagram DMs, and I will look at your profile to see if you're a real person and send you over a copy of my CV, and yeah, you can have a look and replicate it and use it as a template for your own CV. I really want to use this channel to help people, and I think CVs are a big thing for getting a job, obviously, and a lot of people don't get their CV checked. They don't understand what their CV should look like and that sort of thing. So this really long video is just to give you a really good understanding of what a decent CV looks like if you don't have that help from anywhere else. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon. I'll catch you in the next video.